Hey, everybody's Ken. I'm very excited to have in the studio my very good friend, Josh Lannon. What's going on?
Thanks, Kenny.
You know, you showed up at some of the Rich Dad events
Yep.
and we got to know each other and you told your story, which is super powerful. But then I think that next first step was huge, you know, and what for those of you guys might not know, and I'll have Josh explain, he took what he knew, which was addiction, and turned it into a business and became a social entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, I had no idea I was on the path of becoming a social entrepreneur, impact investor, this whole movement that really started, that I became aware of in the late 90s, early 2000s. And now it's like general topics of conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, you a
Back
social?
then, it wasn't.
No,
You
not
were
at
like
all.
a pioneer.
Yeah.
It was like really interesting because but the one thing you did know was you knew the BS behind the addict,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what you didn't know was how to buy the rehab centers and how to put the deals together and all that kind of stuff. So, so how did you switch that? You know, how did you become that? Because now you're not really known as an addict. You're known as somebody who helps addicts. How did you get past that first step? Because it is, especially the mindset you were in, right? It had to be hard.
Well, I channeled all that energy that I invested into my addiction, right? Because it takes a lot to be in active addiction. And what I mean by the games that we play of, hey, I got to figure out when are my openings that I can go use. I got to figure out how to get cash. I got to figure out how to keep this thing going. I got to figure out how to get around the law. I don't want to get pulled over. I don't want, like, all this stuff. Like, you're mapping out your day before it even starts. Like,
Yeah.
okay, how long can I take this thing? So now that was away, I had all this open capacity, if you will. It's like, and then Rich Dad with Robert Kiyosaki, Kim, and the Rich Dad's teaching is like, here's a framework. Why don't you build a business around what your mission is? And I didn't know what my mission was. I just knew I didn't want to drink anymore because it was going to kill me. So my deepest, darkest secret, if you will, of being an alcoholic became my greatest asset.
For sure.
Yeah, because I knew what it was like for that addict. And I knew what it was like, or my wife did. She knew what it was like from the other side of it. So we're like, hey, we know our customer. How can we build a business around that where we're making a commitment right now that we're not going to be addicted to money? That's not going to be our driver. Our driver is mission. We're going to build a business that is mission-driven, socially driven, that helps people overcome their addictions as well. And that's what started the whole thing. And thank goodness for Rich Dad to provide that framework.
Oh, for sure. And I think at this point, a lot of people really need to realize that you have to have a little bit of faith, right? Because let's start at the first step and what you did, because that's kind of when I met you. You were buying those big mega mansions and putting people into them, right? And then you sold that off. So let's talk through that and then jump to Warrior's Heart.
So the first step was we had this great idea, but we had no money. We had the framework to build a business, but we had no money. We had no credit. And so the first step is, to your point on faith, is we knew what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go. I didn't know how to get there, but I knew we were going to get there. So from banks to investors, lot of banks said no. And I heard no more than I heard yes, and that's kind of like my dating career. Right? You hear no, so you just got, hey,
they keep powering through. I know, it's true.
And it was okay. It's like, hey, okay, what'd you learn? Why did you say no to me? Some people would tell you, some people would just sugarcoat it, and they really didn't want to be honest with you. It's like, can you tell me why? The business plan sucked. It did. And I had no experience in the field. It was like all that stuff was true, but we kept on. We finally found a private angel investor that said, you're not going to quit, are you? I said, no, sir, I'm not. Because he actually turned me down twice. And he was the only one that would keep letting me have another meeting with him. He goes, your business plan sucks. You got some work to do on that. But because of you and your wife, I'm going to invest in you.
Nice.
Not the business.
You got the yes.
You got the yes.
Yeah.
That was $1.5 million. It was a big deal. We were in the game. And so we acquired a McMansion, a property, and we had enough capital left over to pay him back his own money until we got our business up and running, and it worked. And then, we refinanced the property and got his money back and made him whole. But the point is that I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable, hearing no's and keep going, having that leap of faith instead of going back to the addiction of, let me just go back to my ex, if you will, being addiction, working in the nightclubs. It was easy. My father worked for him. He's like, hey, come back to work for me.
Yep.
And sometimes you got to do that, just not take that easy road back.
Yep. And I think one of the lessons that we all learned from Robert is the purpose of a business is to buy real estate. This is a classic example of you building a business to buy real estate. So let's fast forward there, because that business grew pretty rapidly. And then you have a private equity company come in. Yep. And I remember this is when I was getting involved with you, and you got into YPO. Mm-hmm. And, some other organizations that, even helped even more. And, but what was cool about that transaction, so at this point, Josh and Lisa had grown this huge business. They sold the business, but not the real estate, right?
Yeah.
This is an important piece, because that's all you really wanted, right?
Well, our business is real estate. My passion is drug and alcohol rehab centers. I never got paid, never want to get paid out of the rehabs. How I get paid is through real estate.
Correct.
And it was very clear on that from the very beginning. And studying Rich Dad, it's about acquiring assets, not working for money. And studying your books and ABCs of real estate, you got your tenants to pay for your real estate.
Correct.
So it's like, how can we do that? How can we have our tenants, okay, it's not tenants, maybe it is, but it's our business pay for real estate.
Yep.
So it was a real estate play. And we had 6 locations, multiple states, and sold to a private equity. And we told them, hey, the real estate's not for sale. They go, we don't care. We don't want it.
How great is that?
And it was like, our income's not going to change because we're living off of passive income.
Yep.
We're going to get this windfall of cash from the business side of it. Hey, we're in.
Yep. So now let's just stop right here. So you grew a business, paid for your real estate, paid your investor back. Mm-hmm. You had massive cash flow. And now you sold the business to somebody who was going to be your tenant.
Yes.
To continue your cash flow. So you had this windfall of money plus your passive income. And that's when you went and bought that awesome ranch.
Well, first we took a year off.
Yep.
And that was through YPO, Young Presidents Organization. I asked a number of other presidents, hey, what'd you do when you sold your company? I said, take a year off.
Take a year off.
That's kind of the standard. It's just really think about what you want to do. Don't race back into the next thing.
It's a good point.
Because I wanted to. And I made a couple deals, couple investments that weren't like, I thought I was this major rock star investor, but I wasn't. I was a business operator.
Yep.
So I made some mistakes on that. Still taking time off, but I was dabbling here and there. It's like, just pause. Just pause and think about what you really want to do. And in that was, hey, I'm alive for a reason. I have resources for a reason. My wife and I are together for a reason. What are we supposed to really do with our life? And it's like, this is it. Drug and alcohol treatment, help other guys and gals get sober. So if we can address and attack addiction, self-medication, that side of it, we can actually lower the suicide rate among our warriors, among our protectors. So that's what we did. We formed up a new company called Warrior's Heart.
I know.
We put all the chips on the table, going all in again, right?
You did.
And said, hey, these guys do that. They're all in. We're going to be all in with them too. So we did. We bought a large ranch in Texas, a 546-acre ranch, converted it into a healing center. Now it's up and running since 2015. We've put over 2,300 warriors through the program, 42-day program that treats addiction, PTSD, depression. And these are the guys and gals that resonate with me. Like, I love our clients. And I think that's important with anything you do, is that there should be a love, there should be a passion to it, because it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy. It takes time away from my family, all that. So if I'm not doing something that I purely love, don't do it, really. And just don't do it for the money, because again, you can become addicted to money. I have, and it's like, nope, not anymore. I want to be addicted to something that adds value to people's lives, that has a mission, that has a calling, has a purpose.
Yep.